Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Hello, holiday movie lovers, and welcome back to Movies on the Brain. I'm Jason, and today we're diving into the wintry, ghostly world of Disney's A Christmas Carol from 2009. Directed by the imaginative Robert Zemeckis and featuring the voice talents of Jim Carrey, this film brings a digital twist to Charlie Dickens's timeless tale. In this review, I'll explore every nook and cranny of Scrooge's haunted Christmas Eve journey, so consider this your spoiler alert. We're unpacking all the ghostly details. From stunning animation to heartfelt messages, let's see how this adaptation stacks up to the vast library of Christmas classics. Grab your hot cocoa and let's get started. Now, how did it do in the box office? Well, Disney's A Christmas Carol opened in theaters on November 6, 2009, with a budget ranging from 175 to $200 million. During its 13-week theatrical run, it earned a total of $137.8 million domestically and $187.4 million internationally, bringing its worldwide total to $325.2 million. Its domestic opening weekend saw it earn $30 million, finishing number one in the box office, ahead of the likes of The Men Who Stare at Goats, The Fourth Kind, and The Box, numbers 3, 4, and 6, respectively, all of which also opened the same weekend. Its final week in the theaters saw it earn $25,008 domestically, finishing its box office run at number 59. Now let's get to the plot. In Victorian era London, Ebenezer Scrooge, a greedy penny pinching and lonely moneylender, refuses to partake in the merriment of Christmas. On Christmas Eve, he declines his cheerful nephew Fred's invitation to the annual Christmas dinner and dismisses two gentlemen who are collecting money for charity. His loyal employee Bob Cratchit requests not to work on Christmas Day so that he can spend time with his family, to which Scrooge reluctantly agrees. That night, Scrooge encounters the shackled ghost of his late business partner Jacob Marley in his bedchambers. Marley warns Scrooge to repent his ways or suffer a worse fate before informing him that three spirits will visit him and guide him away from this miserable existence. At 1 o'clock, Scrooge is visited by a candlelight ghost of Christmas past who shows him visions of his childhood and early adult life. They see his lonely boarding school days, his relationship with his beloved sister Fan, and his time as an apprentice for moneylender Nigel Fezziwig. The young Scrooge meets a young woman named Belle, with whom he falls in love, but his focus on accruing wealth drives them apart. Seeing this, the devastated Scrooge extinguishes the ghost's flame and returns home. Scrooge next meets the merry ghost of Christmas Present, who shows him how others find joy on Christmas Day. Scrooge and the ghost visit Bob's house, learning his family is content with their small dinner and meager home. Scrooge starts to take pity on Bob's ill son, Tiny Tim, whom is rapidly aging, whom the rapidly aging ghost comments might not survive until next Christmas. They next visit Fred's house, where Fred insists the guests raise a toast to Scrooge in spite of his stinginess and general ill will. Before the ghost withers away, he shows Scrooge the evils of ignorance and warmth. Soon after, the ghost of Christmas Yet to Come takes Scrooge into the future, where a recent death elicits no sympathy from London's inhabitants. Scrooge sees his chairwoman, Mrs. Dilber, pay the deceased's possessions to a fence named Old Joe, as well as the deceased's body. The ghost also shows Scrooge the Cratchit's home, where they find Bob and his family mourning Tiny Tim. Later, Scrooge is led to a nearby cemetery where the ghost points out his own grave, revealing Scrooge as the man who died. Scrooge desperately vows to change his ways before falling into his empty coffin and finding himself returned to his bed in the present. Discovering it is Christmas Day, a gleeful Scrooge begins spreading happiness and joy around London, surprising the Cratchits with a turkey dinner, agreeing to give money to the gentleman's charity, and then attending Fred's Christmas dinner. The next day, Scrooge raises Bob's salary and pledges his support for the Cratchits. Scrooge becomes a father figure to Tiny Tim, who overcomes his ailments and is restored to health, and now treats everyone with kindness, generosity, and compassion, thus embodying the Christmas spirit. Now let's look at the cast and some of the other roles they've had. Jim Carrey as Ebenezer Scrooge, and the Ghost of Christmas Past, the Ghost of Christmas Present, and the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. Other roles for Jim Carrey include Dr. Robotnik in the live-action Sonic the Hedgehog movies, Jeff Pickles in the TV show Kidding, and Steve Gray in the Incredible Burt Wonderstone. Gary Oldman as Bob Cratchit and Jacob Marley. Other roles for Gary Oldman include Jim Gordon in Christopher Nolan's Batman movies, Harry Truman in Oppenheimer, and Jackson Lamb in the TV show Slow Horses. Colin Firth as Fred. Other roles for Colin Firth include George in A Simple Man, Michael Peterson in the TV show The Staircase, and General Aaron Moore in 1917. Bob Haskins as Mr. Nigel Fezziwig and Old Joe. Before his passing in April of 2014, other roles for Bob Hoskins include Percy Smith in Outside Bet, Bill Nelson in Doomsday, and Eddie Valiant in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Robin Wright as Fan and Bill. Other roles for Robin Wright include Antioch in the Wonder Woman series, the narrator in the TV show First Ladies, and Erica Berger in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Harry Elwes as the Portly Gentleman number one, Dick Wilkins, the Mad Fiddler, Guest number two, and Businessman number one. Other roles for Cary Elwes include Pistol Pete Whipple in the TV show Knuckles, Brigadier Gubbins M in the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, and Bishop Giles in The Unholy. Finola Flanagan as Miss Dilbert. Other roles for Finola Flanagan include Grandmam and The Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, Ma and Radio Flash, and Violet in Trashfire. Steve Valentine as the funeral undertaker and Topper. Other roles for Steve Valentine include A in Mr. Peabody and Sherman, Alistair in the Dragon Age video game series, and Barry Greenhouse in The Walk. Daryl Sabara as the Undertaker's apprentice, the Tattered Caroller number one, Beggar Boy number one, Peter Cratchit, and the Well Dressed Caroller number one. Other roles for Daryl Sabara include Junie Cortez in the Spy Kids franchise, Heat Blast in the TV show Ben 10, and Rhino in the TV show Ultimate Spider-Man. Sage Ryan as Tattered Caroller number two. Other roles for Sage Ryan include Bo in My Uncle Raphael, Zane Forrester in Piranha 3D, and Nick Shepard in the TV show The Protector. Amber Gainey Mead as Tattered Caroller number three and Well Dressed Caroller number two. Other roles for Amber Gainey Mead include A Martian in Mars Needs Moms and Janine Mather in the TV show The Investigators. Ryan Ochoa as Tattered Caroller number four, Beggar Boy number two, Young Cratchit Boy, Ignorant Boy, Young Boy with Sleigh, and Tiny Tim. Other boys for Ryan Ochoa include Wayne in Room for Rent, Eli in The Samuel Project, and Cody in Another Day in Paradise. Bobby Page as Tattered Caroller number five and Well Dressed Caroller number three. Bobby Page is also the theme song vocalist for TV shows such as American Dad and Family Guy. Ron Botita as Tattered Caroller number six and Well Dressed Caroller number four. Other roles for Ron Botita include Carver Butcher in the Call of Duty video games, Sergeant Booth in Escape Through Africa, and the narrator in 47 Ronin. Demi Hanratty as Beggar Boy number three, Young Cratchit Girl, and Want Girl. Other roles for Sammy Hanratty include Misty in the TV show Yellow Jackets, Cassidy in the TV show Shameless, and Holly in the TV show Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Julian Holloway as Fat Cook, Portly Gentleman number two, and Businessman number three. Other roles for Julian Holloway include Woolsey in The Rum Diary, Death in the TV show Regular Show, and Almec in the TV show Star Wars The Clone Wars. Jackie Barnbrook as Miss Allie Fezziwig, Fred's sister-in-law, and well-dressed caroler number 5. Other roles for Jackie Barnbrook include Carol Thompson in Lawless Range, Helga in The Mad Whale, and Teresa Penza in Don Quixote. Leslie Manville as Miss Emily Cratchit. Other roles for Leslie Manville include Mary in Another Year, Cynthia in Back to Black, and Princess Margaret in the TV show The Crown. Molly C. Quinn as Belinda Cratchit. Other roles for Molly C. Quinn include Alexis Castle in TV show Castle, Melissa Fitzgerald in We're the Millers, and Miss Grady in Doctor Sleep. Faye Masterson as Martha Cratchit, guest number 1, and Caroline. Other roles for Faye Masterson include Lorraine in Wishman, Edna Vincent in Vice, and Andrea Garnett in the TV show The Last Ship. Leslie Zemeckis as Janet Holywell. Other roles for Leslie Zemeckis include Suzette in Welcome to Marwen, Pamela Finley Logsdon in From Zero to I Love You, and Sister Sarah in The Polar Express. Paul Blackthorne as guest number 3 and businessman number 2. Other roles for Paul Blackthorne include Quentin Lance in the TV show Arrow, Detective Tom Hackett in the TV show The In-Between, and Christian Harper in the TV show The Gates. Michael Hyland as guest number 4. Other roles for Michael Hyland include Coach Scott Kaufman in The Outfield, Ben in the TV show Jane the Virgin, and Jason Velasco in the NCIS video game. Carrie Hoyt as Adult Ignorance. Other roles for Carrie Hoyt include crewman Fitzpatrick in the TV show Star Trek Voyager, Suicide Blonde's father in the number 23, and Carrie in Equinox. Jolene Renee Picado as Adult 1. Other roles for Jolene Renee Picado include the Pretty Bicycle Rider in Ted, Miss Huffnagel in Like Sunday Like Rain, and Miss Gill in Pride and Prejudice. Now for my thoughts. It's a classic Christmas story, beautifully animated and well acted by everyone involved. I knew going in that Jim Carrey was playing Scrooge, but honestly, I really couldn't tell it was him, except for when he's laughed. There's no denying Jim Carrey's laughs in anything he does. The fact that Jim Carrey also plays all 3 ghosts in this is fantastic. I didn't know until I looked at the cast and he did all 3. And he did great on all 3. The fact they did motion capture for this is great. There's so many things about this movie that are pluses. To me, this role is my second favorite of Jim Carrey's, only behind How the Grinch Stole Christmas. But Gary Oldman and Colin Firth and every other actor involved, and you have a phenomenal cast for a great movie. I really had a great time with this movie, and the 96-minute runtime flew. It seemed to me like it was barely getting started, and then it was over. Honestly, if you haven't seen this version, you're doing yourself a disservice. Now, the fun facts and trivia, and as of right now, there are a lot. So let's get into it. In the Cratchit home, there's a portrait of the story's author, Charles Dickens, hanging by the fireplace. Gary Oldman and Leslie Manville play Mr. and Mrs. Cratchit. They were married in real life from 1987 to 1990 and have a son. Jim Carrey has described the film as a classic version of A Christmas Carol. There are a lot of vocal things, a lot of physical things I have to do, not to mention doing the accents properly, the English, Irish accents. I want it to fly in the UK. I want it to be good, and I want them to go, yeah, that's for real. We were very true to the book. It's beautiful. It's an incredible film. Jim Carrey's only project with Walt Disney Pictures. However, Carrey also appeared in Simon Birch, which was produced by Disney via their now defunct Hollywood Pictures subsidiary. Before this film, Jim Carrey was given the option to voice Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story. He declined. He also auditioned for the role of Hades in Hercules before the role was given to James Woods. Unique to this adaptation, Scrooge's birthday is February 7th. His future tombstone states he was born in 1786. That means Scrooge was 57 years old during most of the film and was 50 years old when Marley died in 1836. First Robert Zemeckis film where he wrote the script alone. Jim Carrey, who played the Gnarl, Gnarled and elderly Scrooge is 16 months younger than Colin Firth, who plays the young, strapping Fred. In the end, when Scrooge wakes up from his dreams, Jim Carrey dances and laughs as he did earlier in his earlier role, the Grinch. He even mentions that he heard the laugh before. Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, and Tom Hanks auditioned to voice Charles Dickens, who would have narrated the movie, but in the final cut, Dickens was cut, and instead, Bob Cratchit narrates the film's epilogue. Even though Jim Carrey was Robert Zemeckis' first choice for the role of Ebenezer Scrooge, Ghost of Christmas Past, The Ghost of Christmas Present, and The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, the studio suggested he offer the role to Owen Wilson first, as they felt he would be a great choice for the role. Robert Zemeckis wanted Jim Carrey, but he decided to offer the role to Wilson. However, Wilson turned down the role because he didn't have that much interest, as he personally felt he wasn't right for the role. Robert Zemeckis then offered the role to Jim Carrey, which he accepted. And that wraps up our journey through the eerie yet heartwarming lanes of Disney's A Christmas Carol. Whether you watch it for the chills of the ghostly visits or the cheer of its holiday message, this film leaves a memorable imprint. Thanks for joining me on Movies on the Brain. If this review sparked your Christmas spirit, or you have another holiday classic you'd like me to explore, drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell for more movie magic throughout the season. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing and the hot cocoa flowing. Merry Christmas, everyone.